Amazing. All right, you lovely bunch. Okay, so let's take a seat. I'd like you to let's actually start lying down. I'm going to take a vibe of Ian. I need to lie down as well, Ian. Let's do it. So with a lie down, you can have a simple cloth or silky scarf or something for any time that you're head down and you want to put your face on something softer than your mat. Cushions, you can have that to hand, but you don't need any other kit today. So it's just if you want something soft with you, great. If not, you're good to go. So let's start by laying on our back. And just lay with your feet grounded. Have a sense of ease through the whole body. Have your palms turned up, a bit like a Shavasana. And let your shoulders drop. So if you have got your head on anything, have it under the head, not the shoulders. So the shoulders can be on the ground. And we've got nice neutral alignment coming through the back. So with our feet grounded and the knees up, it just allows that lower back to feel like there's no stress or pressure on it. And welcome yourselves, your bodies into a yin while. We can just slow everything down. And the idea of today will be really relaxing the nervous system. Opening up through the lower back and the hips. Seeing if we can create new space for the pose today. So for the next couple of minutes, take long, deep breaths. And use the width and expansion similar to last week. If you were here, we lifted up, we lifted down, we lifted wide and back with the breath. Just noticing that already the body's starting to respond and relax. So make your breath just that little bit longer, a little bit slower. Excuse me. And see if you can connect more of the body on the ground. So especially the back of the head, if it's on a cushion or not. And then the back of the shoulders and the back of the hips like a square. And notice complete ease with the soles of your feet on the ground and all the back of the arms, back of the hands. So almost just the back of the hands, the fingers naturally curling. The more you relax into the beginning and during your stretches, the more the yin effect comes to help mobility, flexibility, and the inner health. Come to the first pose now, which you don't really move much, but just bring the soles of your feet together and let your knees open wide. So laying butterfly, and to complete that, the arms do go overhead and your elbows are wide, so you can either clasp your hands just above your head, let the elbows flare open to help the chest and shoulders, or if you've got room and mobility, straighten your arms above your head. Let the weight of your legs drop. Feel the stretch coming to the inner hip, the groin, and sense there's a bit of difference and freedom, a bit of shift for the lower back. If you're able to get some stretch in the shoulders, great. You might be tight through the shoulders, you might not. And so if you're not getting any stretch there, that's okay. Sometimes it is just maintenance. I'm aware if the stretch gets any different. Sometimes it might move and relocate somewhere else. Sometimes it gets more intense, and sometimes it eases off completely. And to practice mindful by being really present with the physical body shift and your breathing, slow, calm. Any sounds you hear in and around the room you're in during the class, just let them be sound. Nothing to pay attention to. Just another 30 seconds. If there's any micro adjustments to make. Slowly bring your arms down. Slowly bring your knees in. We will do seated butterfly shortly, but for now, let's work into that of having the knees in towards the body. If you've got something under your head, great. Just keep it as thin as possible for the next bit. And then if you can hold a happy baby, it's going to be quite long today, but if that works for you, great. If not, I'll show you options. The happy baby, firstly, is where you either hold on the outside of the foot or the inside of the foot, depending where you're comfortable. And then you let your knees come wide and your hips settle. And for some of you, this will be comfortable. You'll be able to hold here for a while. For others, it's near on impossible to relax. So see what you can do for a little while. Then when it gets too much, feel free to drop the feet like this. So the feet then become more together. And then there's always an option as well if you just want to hug the knees to the outside edges. But what we're doing is we're taking, if you imagine the position is almost a deep squat. And there's no pressure in the feet, more than just your hands supporting the pose. And so the hips are getting a great position without pressure. Your lower back is being alleviated of any strain. It's actually creating quite a nice lengthen for the lower back, right down into the L4, L5 coccyx, all around the base there. It can cause ache because it's quite a low stretch, which we don't always get. And there's compression at this time of day from standing and seating throughout the day. All of us were working at trying to get the legs and the back and the hips active, but think about the upper body as well. How can you soften the shoulders back down to the ground? We're holding on, but with minimum effort. At any point you change the position, that's okay. You can also go with a wide leg if you need to and hold on to the toes, just with the knees soft, if that's something you'd prefer to do, if the stretch starts to get a bit much. And see if we can hold it for just 1 more minute. coming out of this pose, the first thing to do is just let your feet lower towards your hips. And then keep your knees wide, but just hold on to the shins, and very, very slowly, because your lower back's had quite a long, deep stretch there. And then just let them be quite casual, so that you're just holding the knees so they're not under any contraction, but you're not released to the floor just yet. You might notice cooling in the back of the body. You might notice sensations. That's okay. And for us, there's a couple of us here who tend to have lower back stress. It's good for us to have that length, but coming out of it one leg at a time to land on the floor and moving very cautiously, so that the body's got no shock. And then I'd like you to come back to just laying on your back with your knees together. Have your feet a little wider. Tap your knees in together. And let's do the opposite. Bring the feet together, knees wide. And then bring the knees back in together. And little windscreen wipers. So have your feet about as wide as your yoga mat. And then let them drop very slowly, right, left. Great. So continue rolling onto your side, so it's a comfortable direction for you for where you are at home. And then come up gently to a seated position. We're going to set up seated butterfly that you just did on the ground. So sometimes it's nice for us to sit on something more cushiony that helps. Just put it under the hip, and it helps you tip forward, and it helps a bit of comfort in the hamstring. And for some of you, you might not want anything at all. And then bring the soles of your feet together. And in that positioning, just see that you've got really comfortable knee opening and your feet are quite far away. Yeah, that's it. And then the hips are also trying to push back. So especially if you're on a cushion or blanket, this allows us to almost put the tail back and the chest forward. Good. Amy, how is it you can do this? He's like, oh, brilliant, you're stretching. I'll sit between your legs, Mum. He's sitting right there in the scoop of It's a new little basket. Brilliant. And now take your body forward. So bring your chest forward, bring your head down, just enough that's comfortable. And no pressure in your arms whatsoever. So we don't want to pull. We don't want to use any contraction in the stretch. We just want to allow a position and then relax. If it's really uncomfortable, you just find a position that's working enough. And feel free to put something bigger in between your body and the floor, such as a big cushion that might just give you a bit of support that allows you to soften and relax. Please have no strain in the body, just a light stretch. And remember that we're working at a maximum of 80%. So look for 50 to 80% of stretching when we've got the length of time to do them. Notice your breathings in the back of your body. Let the stomach relax, let your chin relax. There's no tension in your jaw. No tension through the mouth and the throat. If your body starts to let you have more, take it, but never go past that 80% of your maximum. Trying for complete stillness in the mind and the body. Sometimes the biggest challenge of Yin is the stillness. So take a deep breath every now and then and connect to the body, ask it questions. Is there anywhere else you could relax? Is there any tension that's crept into the body you're not aware of until you search? You've got 90 seconds left, so try to relax as much as you can, but if it's starting to get too much, just lift out of the pose about halfway. Take a wee break from the depth of it, but still in the same mindset, focus, and lengthening of the lower back. Another 20 seconds. Now with long held poses such as this one, I need you to take at least 15 seconds to sit up, which might be frustrating as well, but just respecting the depth of the stretch that we've just done and the body. And when we come up, we're not looking to round up, we're looking to lift the chest up. So start looking forward and then lifting the chest up so that we're almost coming to a point where we're lifting this way rather than rounding that way. And then once you're seated, let your legs come into a straight position, and that can take a second for the joints to adjust. You're seated on something, just let it be there for a moment. And just sit with a lovely tall spine. We all okay over there? Yeah? Good. And then coming off the blanket to be able to get your hips level, and then have your feet wide and let windscreen wipers come as a counter pose, but very slowly, please, really slow. We want our hips to be really happy at the end, so we have to work just slowly, carefully, and then they'll give us more of what we want. Leaning back just enough that feels comfortable. And sometimes when we're in this one, it's quite nice to let that hip, especially the one at the back, have its time. So if you feel like you need to pause for the back or the hip for any reason, just do. Great. My nemesis is next, the hamstring stretch. Oh, my hamstrings are so short. Doesn't matter how many times I stretch them, they seem to ever getting longer. So sitting in a forward fold, it's called caterpillar. So you're going to have your feet hip width apart and then sit with a forward position. And in that, again, if you want to, bring this under the hips so that it gives you a bit of support in the stretch of tipping forward. You can use a wide block if you prefer. And then take a deep breath in and just start to lengthen forward. So imagine the hips and see if we can start to turn them that way so that the pelvis feels like it's in this angle, belly forward, tailbone back. And then that's the best position. So sometimes we start here and this is where we're at today. Others, you're going all the way down like a pancake. And we're all in between. So as long as we're not trying to stretch with the pelvis and the hips this way, and we're trying to bend from the back, but we do need to sit up and then push bum back so that the tailbone is away, belly is forward, and then edge gently reaching towards your feet or your shins. You can use something under the arms if you want, or just rest your forearms against your shins and thighs. A light tuck of the chin, just enough. And occasionally a deep breath to try and help take away tension. And visualize length in the back of the legs. Now, for the sake of what we're doing in Snail shortly, try and flex your feet as if you're standing. And notice that you're getting extra in the calf. and a little extra in the back of the knee, and that's okay, what we want. But then also you might notice that your stomach starts to tighten because the stretch has got bigger. So again, we just try and relax through the whole body again, whilst keeping a light flex in the foot rather than complete relaxation in the leg. If the body lets you have any more at any point, take it. Just don't push it, don't pull. 80% of your maximum is the top range, so we don't even need to be there. Just 1 minute left to go. And relax and breathe out anything that's creating tension. Walking our way out of this one, take a deep breath to start with. And then again, just lift the chest up. So we haven't even moved the hips yet. We just lift the front body. So we feel like we're lifting straight up, and then very slowly come back. Your hands can be by the hips to help. And then shortening can feel like it's right at the root of the pelvis. And then it's very natural to want to bend the knees. And again, just scooch off your blanket if you were sat on anything there. Take a moment, just hug the knee. A little hug. You're all right. And then again, just the windscreen wipers. They're very good at taking the tension back out as any counterbalance and for poses. I'm just asking the hips to move in a more circular position rather than just front and back. And when you've had enough, you find yourself in a seated position, and this time try not to have anything under the hips unless you need some cushioning for the fall. We're coming into square. Now, square is basically sat with one leg on top. So you bring one leg in a cross-leg position. I'm going to start with my right leg underneath and my left leg on top. And they sit like this. Now, for some of us, this is comfortable. For some of us, this is not happening today, and the knees are up like this. But remember that if we just always check out, we'll never get there. So there's a difference between finding a starting place that's comfortably uncomfortable and then putting ourselves in a position that growth will happen. Now, if sitting, so Ian, you might want to, and Bipin, you might want to do the seated square like this. The ladies, we have a better in our hips already. We're lucky in this area, and you might want to do it with just your knees a little high. But for the guys, if you've got, you can see you both a bit tight in the hips, which is normal, but check that the heel is in line with the bum, that's it. And then ask this knee, the one that's up, ask it to push away from you. So instead of it coming towards you, you want to push it away. That's it. And then for anybody else of us that are on the ground, I would like you to be on the ground if you can, because I'd like you to tip forward. There's a deep breath and a focus there, Marie. I like it. Right. Good stuff. Oh, Megan, is it just not liking it? No. Okay. So you can do the same, this position here, completely normal for us to start in the places like this and then eventually get here. And even if the knees are up, it's okay, because eventually gravity helps take them down and persistence of gently stretching. For any of us that are sitting in this lovely cross square, sit your hips back, let your chest come forward and have a look where my hands have gone. So they're kind of out to the side and the top of the body is lifted. And we're just looking to get a different positioning of the hip. There's an outward rotation. And letting go of tension that could be building anywhere else when we hold a stretch that could be doing quite a lot for us. Has everyone got an option that's working for them? Are you okay? Yeah. Cool. So you can go just a little bit more, Amy. Nice and flexible. So if you can go a little lower, but trying not to round the spine, but think lengthen forward. So it's almost like belly button to shin. There you go, nice. And then the neutral neckline. So you're just looking down toward the floor to have that natural spinal alignment. So for the three of you that aren't here tonight, hopefully you've had enough options to help you through. And we're always looking after, so if you get any pins and needles, we're not after that. We're after just stretch. If anything's too intense, ease off. You've got 50 seconds. It just seems to get tighter and tighter rather than easier and easier. So if you're feeling the same, don't worry, it's normal. Some stretches, they disappear, some wind up. We have to do the same job of just breathing calmly. I'm starting to undo, that's your time now. So we're coming up very gently up. Lean back and let your legs undo. So the top leg stays with the knee bent. The underneath leg stays with the knee bent. We just undo the twist of the hips and then extend the legs out away. Cool. And it can feel cold on the inside of your legs when you do these. And if you notice that sort of flush of cold, hoping it's not just cold, is it ever going to warm up? Then that's the yin effect. Give it another 20 seconds. I guess you know what's coming. Yeah, I gotta do it all again on the other leg. Man. So when you're ready, find your position. Now I'd like you all to try the square because you just never know what happens on the other side. So this time I'm tucking my left foot under and bringing my right foot on. And so sometimes it works, sometimes you can even get that straight leg a bit, but I think it just really hurts the quad and the thigh bone. So I just suggest you either try this one. If it's not for you, do the same thing in that seated position and look at pressing the knee gently away. For those of us in square, even if your knees are up, we're still working with them. And we're asking the knees to lower when they can. The chisel. Be kind to them, they'll do their job. And then find your position and breathe. Good. So if the leg's struggling to sit there, is it slipping on the ground? The bottom foot, or you're all right with the bottom foot? Just getting the comfort, is it? You okay, Megan? Yeah, okay. Deep breath. This one hits quite a high percentage quite quick for me and my hip. To be aware of which positions really tap into the challenge and which ones are comfortable. You might be sitting there really comfy. It looks good that side, Bipin, doesn't it? Better that side, yeah. Which leg's that on top, right or left? If I say right, go like that. If I say left, go like that. And to breathe your way out of it. When things get rough in the body or tight, when your brain starts to disappear into different things or feel frustrated by the stretch, all those emotions are normal. Body sends you these emotions to get you out of the stretch. Just breathe, as long as you haven't got pins and needles, as long as there's no pain, we're safe. Just reduce some of the intensity and breathe. Long, slow, calm breath. We've got the last 45 seconds left. When the time's right, just again, lean back, coming out of the stretch. Keep the knees bent and just place the foot on the floor, let the knee come in. The other knee stays bent, bring the foot to the ground. And then when you're ready, let them go forward. Good, so we've had our thigh bone has rolled inwards and outwards with different positions that we've been in. So it's been given some stretch from all angles of around the hip. So it should be feeling, even though at the moment might be a little bit tight. Hopefully we can ease that off on the next one. So lower back and hips is a big key for today. Now we're going to do just a minute, maybe a little minute and a half of a standing forward fold. However, no strain allowed. So if you're straining to get into that position, you must use a blanket or a block to hold on to. So when we do this one, we're basically doing what we did seated, but we're doing it in a standing position. We lift belly into the spine. We have the knees soft and we're hanging as best we can. Think of it like a rag doll. And in Yin Yoga, they call it dangling earring. So stand onto your feet. That's it. And find a position that's hip width apart. And the time starts now. Just allow your body to hang completely. See if you can hang like a monkey or a rag doll or a dangling earring. And just let the spine be really stretched out. It should be quite comfortable in this position for the back today. The knees are bent and the belly is lifted. Think about spreading the shoulder blades and spreading across the back whilst lengthening as best you can up the hamstrings. So that's your minute. So we're just going to give it an extra 30 seconds. Very good for the head, de-stressing of the nervous energy. Nice calm breath. Bring your hands out in front of you. Stepping gently back into child pose. So just come into kneeling first. And then allow your knees to come wide, your hips to push back, and then rest your head down. So it's like being in a squat, bit of a counter pose. Feel free to rest your face on a any kind of blanket if you want something more than just your carpet or yoga mat. Do your best to completely relax the hips and the lower back. Very similar pose to the happy baby we did earlier. See if you can take your knees even wider. So really wide knee child pose, so super wide. And your chest might come down to the ground just that little bit more. The stretch can be a little bit more into the inner thigh adductors, groin, inner hip. Last 15 seconds. Just take nice, easy breath. And when you're ready, come up onto the elbows really casually, just up on the elbows. Then use your hands on the ground. And then work your knees in together. And just sit kneeling for a second when you're ready. And then come down onto your mat. Take a seat. Okay, time for snail. We've I've taught this once, Bipin, to you maybe. But I haven't taught it to anybody else. Ladies, menstrual cycle, if it's your week, I'd like you to take the option. It's not very, it causes a lot of pain for females in the menstrual week, this one, because you put your body the wrong way. So the option, the complete option, is legs up the wall. So you would lay and either have them, if that's an angle that you could work at, but preferably I'd lay up the wall and bring the hips all the way to the wall so the legs are vertical. Okay, so that's an option. And if any ladies did need it, take the angle that's a little bit easier. For snail itself, it looks more scary than it is, but it's very good and healthy for lots of different things, especially the lower back. But you take your legs up and you kind of got to give yourself a bit of a ooch. So you can have your knees bent if you want to. It's like a big curl to get up. Have your elbows on the floor and then you just push your legs up. And then what you're doing is you're catching your pelvis in the back of your hands and your elbows are taking some of the weight. And then the legs are just going to extend. Now, this is why I've done lots of back and hamstrings, so they are safe. And then we want the toes on the ground like this. I can't get my knees and put them on the ground. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to do that. But this position here, very healthy. It's an inversion. It can cause a bit of shortening in your breath. And to come out of it, you just release your hands and you just roll out of it like that. Now, coming up, you might be thinking, oh, there's no way I'm doing that. But you might be surprised with yourself. So I can hear the thing coming through my ear pods. But if you even just started to think, I'm going to see if I can get my bum up there, just use your momentum and just use the tummy and see if you can push it up and clap. Push it up and clap. That's okay. And if you get to the point where you push it up and then you'll bring your elbows in and support. Your legs can go up and then they come back. Okay? Yes, Ian, Megan, Bipin, Marie, come on, Amy. Everybody is doing it. That's incredible. Oh my God, I love you guys. How's your back, Megan? Just give me a yes with your thumb. Okay, cool. Ian, your toes are waggling, which means I know you're still alive. That's good. Bipin, looks very strong in your back. It's okay, yeah? Marie, I can see your hands. Give me a thumb up. Yep, cool. And there she goes. Amy, all the way over. Look and make it look super easy. Good. Now, you've been there a while. Amy, you've just got there, so feel free to stay. For everybody else, I need you to very gently and slowly come into bending the knees And you will kind of roll out with quite some force. So just take it gentle. And then just lay on your back for a second. And when you're ready, have your knees bent. Sorry, feet grounded, knees bent. And then a counter pose would be a very slight hip bum lift off so a bridge. A very slight bridge. So just getting activity to get your hips off the ground. Just enough that we'll get a little bit of squeeze of the back muscles because they've just been in a deep stretch and now they've got a bit of a contraction. But it's not the height of the hips, it's about squeezing in the back there. And then roll it down and recover. Surprise yourself, I think, maybe. But all those stretches beforehand were building up for this pose. So we are going to do it twice. We're going to do it again. We'll just take a breath. And every single pose I've done for you today was getting your body ready for this one. All right. Including this position of your happy baby. Everything was in line for the hamstrings, back, and hips to be ready to go. So when you're ready, let's try again. Take a deep breath. Lift the hips when you're ready. Catch them with the back of your hands. That's it. Good. Now be careful. Breathe calmly. See whether the toes will work their way slowly overhead. Now, if you're going for the couch, that's good. If you're going for a chair, that's good. Make sure you've got zero pain. It shouldn't be in the back at all. What might be happening is that you feel it's harder to breathe because you're shortening the front body, but you're lengthening the back body. I'm very impressed with you all. Let's see if you can hold it for another 30 seconds. If you're comfortable there, take 30 more. If not, come out. That's a minute, it's quite some time. If you're comfortable, we've got another 20 seconds. And same as before, when you come out of it, laying with your feet grounded. And then start to ease out now, everybody. Relax gently down on the ground. Very impressed. Good. And then again, as you're laying, just take a moment for the back to recover. And then see if you can just lift a few inches, just enough to get your hands underneath the pelvis. Just in a bridge, squeeze the bum. And then relax back down. Take a moment to bring your knees in. Give yourself a little hug. The lower back should feel pretty awesome. The hips should now feel good. So if you do little circles with the knees, it should all feel rather nice. Both ways. And let's just take a few minutes to relax. So take a position of anything you want, laying on your back with either your knees together, feet wide, or feet together, knees open. And if you get cold, this room got very cold this evening, feel free to put a blanket over your legs so you don't get cold. And as you come into the breath again for the last time, just asking complete ease as you breathe out. And try and do that for the mind and the body. As if the clock have stopped for just a couple of minutes. Be aware of your breath out, body resting, tension away from the neck and shoulders, face and jaw. Take a deep breath. Sigh it away. And then bring your knees in. Gently give yourself another hug. Take the lower back's okay. A little rock, roll, whatever feels right. Your eyes open if they're not already. Bring your knees towards the camera so that you can sit up nice and slowly. Feels good, doesn't it? Take a deep breath, bring your hands to prayer. Always honor the body afterwards, and it's always nice to share space together. And those, the three that aren't here with us tonight, we still, hopefully you enjoy the session. You're still with us. Take a group environment, but with an individual journey. Namaste. Well done. Good job. I'm very impressed with you all of you. Straight over there. Good job. Well done. So lots of water tonight. You may get the stomach rumbles. Have your dinner. And yeah, lots of water, trying to flush out any toxins that have been released. All right, well done. Thank you very much. If you've got any questions, let me know. And if not, I'll see you all very soon. Stop in the recording there.